Okay, so we have another mystery. Now, the one thing which is interesting is a lot of these mysteries deal with specific sort of unique things in each one. The other one is a small amount of town that sort of knows each other. The family one is sort of like a family one, and what is the truth of between certain rumor, certain things within the families. Both are interesting ideas, and the last one having something that I think, but this one I think is interesting because with the last two, you've dealt with mostly fairly open areas, both being roughly not Pacific, but seemingly either sort of a housing. The first one being episode 1 and 2 being in sort of like a housing, so like a sort of rural village. So pretty, the houses are next to each other, so it's still closed, but you don't really see the outlines of the buildings. Again, main focus is on the crime scene because you don't see that. The episode 3 and 4 deal with the thing with the mortuary, and the fact that it is all in one house. They all live together because they are one family. Episode 5 and 6 again deals with individual houses, but you do get the one standpoint that two houses do look the same. And you do get some indication of houses. But episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I keep forgetting the numbers, deals with the houses. You actually see like the blocks that are the houses. And this is a lot more compact because you deal with like what would be sort of like a city centre as the houses are together. You also have that because you need to figure out how at a certain point the body was moved from one area to another, actually one area of this side to another area. And there's only a certain amount of areas that it can transport. One here, well the police station's here. One here, well there's certain houses blocking certain other places. So there's 1, 2, 3, and actually a secret passageway, so 4. But that doesn't get figured out until later. And when you start putting things together about how it works, how everything comes together, it's really interesting. Alongside having like how are they able to move the body? And where was the true crime scene? Because it's been raining. So a lot of the other ones are like, okay, here's the blood, here's the thing. But this time, you don't have that. It's been raining. So a lot of the crime has gone away because it was raining. Which is, I love the idea. I love it. I love the mystery where it's like, well, we don't know where it took place. It rained. I also like that we don't, there's a thing of like, who is this person? Because there's one thing and then another thing, which is very interesting. Obviously, the one thing I like is a whole thing with mysteries of like, oh, I didn't see this message, which gives the actual killer the motive, which is the truth, and it's really interesting. I also like one of the things of like giving herself an alibi was the thing with the replacing the flood detection and then faking it with like a sanitizer or like a liquid, which is clever. I do think that's a fun idea. I also like the idea that we've gone through this, we've had a couple of people suspected, and I don't think they redo who killed, I don't know, I think they might have, but I think one person, definitely within episode 9 and 10, you do with, I think, 2 people who weren't the suspects. I don't know, I might be overreaching it. But one of the things I like is one of the person had the situation of like, oh, there was this fight and this happened and they did this. And then someone points out, could they use that as motivation? Oh, this person had a fight here. It must have been them, which is clever. It means that they are immediately can't be them because that is the suspect. I don't know why someone says, why can't they use that? Like, oh, someone is framing me. But I don't think that, I think that would have been I don't think that would have helped. That could have been like, well, you would say that. Maybe you did it, and it's really interesting. But yeah, this mystery definitely with which pathway they can go, I think is definitely fun. Trying to figure out which way they went. It's the same one with the last one, which I didn't mention, but one of the bodies is missing, and that whole thing of like finding it is also interesting. But again, I like these small things that you have to figure out alongside it, of like how do they took the body from one side to the other and which pathway, which is fun. I also like they do give each one a motive. For the last ones you've had from 1 and 2, you had the motive of trying to put the body at rest for religious reasons. For 3 and 4, is the thing of like trying to get into a good life through these manipulative ways. 5 and 6 was because one person was about to reveal that he had this dark obsession that would have come out. Through 7 and 8, I think it's because one person tried to look good to become an idol, and then because of some deal, it gave him trapped with certain places in owing amount of debt. Meaning that through certain things, they're in a desperate situation. Which I do like, because you get episode 1 and 2, that's kind of an interesting motive, but it kind of seems like there is motive and you kind of sympathize with it because of certain things that happened. But for the last two of like 2 and 3, which was because of like trying to become rich and like greed. 5 and 6 has another one of like revealing a dark secret. Those two, this is going back to like 1 and 2, which did have some motivation, but does seem a little bit off to go that far. 7 and 8, I also like being somewhat like, in a way you did try and get this and try and like look pretty because of it, but because of debt and because of desperation, it led to this. It is interesting of that sort. Again, I do love these, I do love this sort of thing, but yeah, I do hope you enjoy. And tomorrow should be the last one. But I hope you enjoy, and good night.